Episode 8, Social Skills for ENFPs. So, ENFPs, you know, they need social skills like everybody else, right? Like, why do we need social skills? Because everyone's trying to get their cognitive origin and whatnot. And people are like, oh, well, I don't know what people's cognitive origins are because I don't know my type and I don't know my nurture or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, fundamentals of the ENFP and social skills. Everyone needs social skills. Why do you need social skills? Because it's the only way you're able to get your cognitive origin, which is the thing that you want the most out of life, right? And the thing is that in order to get your cognitive origin, you have to be willing to give your cognitive origin to other people. That's just kind of how it works. ENFPs, they just kind of naturally suck at it because ENFPs have this problem where they're just like all depraved and shit all the time. No, that's not actually true, but like they have the propensity to becoming depraved, and that's actually the main problem. So yeah. So because like we have that issue, you know, they need to like actually figure out like what other people's types are, what other people's octograms are, to identify the specific cognitive origins other people have, and then learn how to serve up those cognitive origins on a silver platter. Which the only way they're actually going to be able to do that is that they develop social skills. But how are they going to do that if they can't get past their own social blind spots? Social blind spots being like their trickster and their demon function naturally. Because everyone's like, oh, let's just go all out for our like hero function, you know, where it's like ENFP's like, it's all good, man. I can give you unlimited choices and shit. I could tell you like everything you want. It's all good, you know. I could give you a good future, whatever. I give you every fucking little opportunity that you could actually fucking find. It's all good. I got that shit. I got you. I got you. I got you. When the reality of the situation is that they typically don't. But they always like, it always just sounds like they do. And it's like, it's all great. It's all good. You can trust me. You can actually think really highly of me and shit because I'm like a good person or whatever. Like I'm always a good person all the time, you know. And it's just like, no, not always, because you're part of the soul temple, bro, which actually means like you kind of like are trying to become a person of good character, which means by default you're actually a person of bad character. Congratulations, you played yourself. But you know, most ENFPs don't even know that. They actually have to spend their entire life to becoming a good person, but they walk around feeling like they're a good person, and I don't exactly agree with that. No, I just don't. I don't agree with it. And so with that being said, it's just kind of like, well, why are we actually doing? Oh, the point is that like, you know, as ENFPs, like y'all have this issue where it's like, you know, you're trying to like have a good identity, you're trying to be like the soul temple, you're trying to figure it out. It's your entire life's journey, but like from that point of view, it's like, well, you know, that doesn't mean that you're going to have social skills, because oftentimes your social skills are based on whether or not you even have an identity to begin with. And how do you even get an identity? Well, the reality of the situation is when you're a soul temple, the only way you can have an identity is if you're exposing yourself to other people. You know, like for example, we know a certain ISTJ, for example, who can't like, you know, expose himself to save his life. Let's be honest, you know, and that too becomes an issue. So then like, they're trying to be this person of good character. They got to get the social skills. They got to get their cognitive origin. The cognitive origin is justification because ENFPs live from this perspective where it's all about like they're just trying to figure out who's allowed to get away with what when, basically. That's how it is, right? So they always want to be able to get away with anything and everything, right? ENFPs want to be able to get away with literally everything. So they work up as much as possible to make sure that they have endless excuses that they can use to be able to get away with anything. The thing is that oftentimes people see them spending all their excuses on themselves instead of excusing other people for being able to get away with stuff. So then the ENFP looks depraved because it's only the ENFP who's allowed to get away with anything and no one else is allowed to get away with anything. And that's the problem, right? That's the ENFP way, right? It's a huge struggle. And ENFP is like, from a soul temple perspective, it's just like, oh my God, like why? You're supposed to be absolving other people instead of like just absolving yourself, you know, and that's an example of unconscious focus when it comes to an ENFP. That's like how bad it can actually get from an ENFP. Because ENFP is like, what good do they actually offer? What do people socially expect from ENFPs, right? They're zany charmers, very zany people, all around, everywhere, going places, got people to see. They're like this like VIP ninja, always like going speed racer all the time, trying to slither their way into any social situation, even if that just happens to be a backstage pass that they didn't buy, and still somehow they end up on backstage anyway, for some reason. Oh, I'm just going to be part of the crowd and pretend to be an important VIP, and because, you know, I'm like a walking fake it until you make it situation, you know, it's just kind of just like, oh my God, how are we even gonna fucking like get through this shit? Well, somehow it just happens. It just happens. It's like, it's their value add. You know what I'm saying? It's their value add. So the point is that like they need to learn how to be the walking backstage pass for other people. That's the thing. That's their social value. That's their social ad. Because it's like, hey, man, you're friends with me because I'm a VIP. Now you're a VIP, right? That's how it's supposed to be. That's how ENFPs are supposed to act. That is what they're supposed to bring to the table. But for some reason, they want to spend all that shit on themselves. Or, even worse, here's a situation. What happens when they got their bros and they're all being all VIP-like and they're trying to make their bros VIPs, but they can't get their bros VIPs, so they're going to treat themselves like the VIP and everyone else gets left out in the cold, even though they overpromised and underdelivered, which is one of the things that pisses people off the most when it comes to ENFPs. And they end up getting super selfish and shit. And it's just like, what the fuck is even going on? Like, what is their problem? What is the problem? Like, oh my God, like, stop. Like, stop, ENFPs. Like, what do they really bring? Like, they're trying to help people find opportunities, and the thing is that whether or not the ENFP will be selfish and use those opportunities on themselves, or whether or not they're actually going to spend any time to help people think about things properly, whether or not they're actually be a good person, and whether or not they're going to stop putting their comfort above everyone else, right? Because here's the thing, ENFPs have this problem, similar to ENTPs, where they have this thing where they assume that the things that make them comfortable is what makes everyone else comfortable, which is false. This is actually insanely false. This is actually, Chris Taylor shared a story with me one time about how he was on the job and he was the boss. And he had an INTP coworker who was actually really sensitive. And what happened is that he was training her, and they're working on a very complicated task. And he actually found himself becoming very frustrated with her, and his deadly sin of wrath was starting to come out because she just wasn't getting it, because he was pushing her hard, because he pushes himself so hard in the process. That's the thing with SI inferiors. We push ourselves too hard. And because of that, we end up expecting to be able to push other people hard. This is especially difficult in sexual relationships because we can push ourselves hard and then we expect other people, our mates, to be pushed just as hard as ourselves, which is actually technically abusive through extroverted sensing demon. We can't allow this to happen. This was heavily covered in the last lecture from last night's lecture, but I just want to reiterate it here for the ENFPs. You can't do that, okay? And this really pisses people off. And this is like, you're lacking social skills here, bro, because what's going on? What's going on is the hubris of your hero. You know, you're giving all these opportunities to every person that you're around all the time, and then all of a sudden, because you gave someone a great opportunity, and it's probably an opportunity that you would never do yourself, you all of a sudden treat those people as if they owe you. And it's like, wait a minute, they don't owe you shit. But for some reason, because you so-called give them a piece of advice, because you're projecting your INFJ shadow onto others, that you expect them to like give you like special treatment, you expect them to owe you something, owe you a favor. No, you're full of shit. What are you doing? You guys are the favor shakedown people. Like, you always shaking everyone down for favors all the time. You know, especially like some of those really depraved ENFP men shaking down girls for sexual favors. I'm tired of that shit, and I see it all the time, especially in bars. It's like super common. Because the reality situation is you just expose yourself. You just expose yourself because it's like, oh, so apparently if someone gives you advice, you feel like you owe them. Thank you for exposing how we can control you now. Congratulations. You still played yourself again. You guys are great at play. You know, you guys are known as the bard. You know, you got that fiddle you're all playing and whatnot. Well, now we get to play you as a fiddle because, like, that's what you guys operate as sometimes. You got to watch out. And it's been a while since I've had a hard-ass lecture on ENFPs. So your comeuppance, it's been about 2 years. So we're going back to our season 3, episode 8 days. You know, where I smack the ENFPs around through their depravity. So anyway. The point is that like it's got to happen. You guys got to be aware of this phenomenon. You know, like just because you give somebody advice doesn't mean they owe you. Just because you give someone an opportunity doesn't mean they owe you, right? Just because you act important doesn't mean you're actually important, and it also doesn't mean that your friends are important like you. And it doesn't mean that you get to make promises to them, because then you just end up having this huge problem of over-promising and under-delivering, okay? And it's funny because Chris Taylor is the ENFP that I respect the most. And one of the reasons why I respect him the most is because he actually like got in my face one day and said no to me one time. Because it's like, bro, I will not be that ENFP who overpromises and underdelivers. And I'm like, bro, you are the man. You're like the ultimate ENFP. Because my ENFP mentor, one of my mentors, and great man, actually, very great man, an author. He actually owned his own football team. Fantastic fellow. He had to learn that lesson the hardest because he started over-promising and under-delivering. And as soon as he figured that situation out, his railing company absolutely took off. And in my opinion, that is the number one social skill ENFPs need to learn. Because they have this thing where they expect everybody else to under-promise and over-deliver for them, but they under-promise and under-deliver for everybody else. And it's this huge hypocrisy that they have from their INFJ shadow. It's like really frustrating, right? And most people don't even realize that that's what's going on. It's like, what the hell? Like, what the hell is even happening? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, dude, like these are the problems that just piss people off in terms of the lack of social skills and immature ENFPs, you know? So it's like, but why is this happening? It's because you guys are heavily relying on your extrovert intuition hero. You guys are heavily relying on your extrovert thinking child. And like I said, you know, it doesn't matter what is true or false to you folks. It's all about what you believe. And if you guys can believe you're important, then you can believe your friends are important too. And that's not true. It's just not true. You need to actually have some real substance. You need to have some actual real value. You need to gain that through life experience. You can't build social skills without actually having real life experience. The problem is that just because you yourself have an experience, or just because you yourself pretended you have an experience, does not necessarily mean other people are going to believe you. And even those people that do believe you, they're at risk of being led astray. To which I'd like to say sucks to be them, because they were just victimized by you. And how do you think that's going to help your reputation? It's not. You're probably just going to find yourself like prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Or there's a little bit Bible story that actually goes along with it. One of my favorites. This one ENFP, he's going around, and he ended up owing a lot of money. You know, ENFPs, they suck at debt. You guys just suck at debt. You guys owe everyone so much fucking money. It's ridiculous. Like statistically, you guys suck at money and you suck at debt. I don't know, unless you're Ty Lopez. I don't know, or Gary Vaynerchuk. You know, but the rest of y'all, like, you guys just really need some serious help. Like, seriously, because think about it. Because you guys are so money centric, and you got all this fucking debt, like that's like growing on you over and over and over and over, and then all of a sudden you find your ass in front of the magistrate who's going to throw your ass in jail. Nice laser, dope. They're throwing your ass in jail and whatnot. Ty's in a lot of debt right now. Okay, well, I mean, sure, maybe hopefully he's leveraging properly, you know, doing it right. When that happens, like, the magistrate's like, okay, well, you're going to debtor's prison, right, in this Bible story. And then he's like, no, please have mercy on me. Please have mercy on me. You know, let me off the hook. Magistrate's like, yeah, sure, I'll let you off the hook. So as soon as he's left off the hook, later that day, he finds some dude that owes him $10, and he beats the shit out of him for owing him $10. That's what happens. And then later, rumors start going around as to what the ENFP did. The magistrate finds out about it, and then has him like either thrown in, or I think he has him executed, basically, for what he did. Because it's like, hey, man, I left you off the hook, and then you do that to your friend. Yeah, you're dead now. Goodbye. You know, so like the ENFP way, that ENFP got what he deserved. So you guys need to like actually get some social skills. Well, where do you do it? Well, like where does these failures come from? Well, they come from TI Trickster, because like your guys is like total ignoring of what's actually true is really screwing with you guys, because like you think you can get by on life entirely on belief, but you really can't. And that's actually inhibiting you from actually having social skills. That's another thing. Or as we already previously discussed, your extroverted sensing demon, where it's just like, oh, if I push myself really hard and I can take the pain, that means other people can too. Wrong. That's really wrong. And it's not gonna, it ain't gonna work. Yeah. So those are your social pitfalls. They come from your TI trickster, where you're just relying too much on belief. They come from your extroverted sensing demon, pushing other people too hard because you think you can push yourselves too hard, even though you take on so many obligations because you don't want to let go of any opportunity in front of you, and then you start taking everyone else down with you in the process. Wow. Yeah, well, it sucks because like everyone else gets basically flushed down the drain with you in the process if you're not careful. Can't do that. So how do we actually solve this problem? How do we solve this problem? Well, you have to develop introverted feeling parent. Yay! Where you actually have your philosopher's stone in life, which is your personal I win button, basically. Because here's the things. You know what you value, right? But here's the problem. You can't really value anything yourself. That's the arrogance of the ENFP. They like to walk around thinking that they know what is a good thing or a bad thing all the time. They like to walk around as if they know what is valuable or not. The reality of the situation is that they don't even test their own values towards other people. They don't even do it. They don't even test their values. So they have to actually use their extroverted feeling critic through cognitive orbit to find out what people actually like, to find out and actually use their introverted sensing inferior aspirationally to put in the effort to find out everything that they've gone through in their life, all their anecdotes, all their life experience, and find out from other people if it's actually valuable to start with. And only then are they allowed to have a mood. Only then are they allowed to be justified in feeling anything. Only then are they allowed to actually be human. Look, seriously, ENFPs, if you do not spend time trying to find out what is valuable in terms of what you've done, and you actually are not going to go up to other people and be like, hey, I did this thing. Is this a good thing? Do you like that I did this? If you're not actually going to do that and be willing to expose yourself, then you have no business having a mood ever. You have no business feeling anything. You have no business being human. You have no business feeling or valuing or weighing things out, because that just means your judgment sucks. Which means you're going to have poor social skills for the rest of your life, and you're going to be nothing but a burden on every single person around you, essentially. And I'm tired of ENFPs being a burden, okay? Chris Taylor ain't a burden. Chris Taylor's figured this out. Chris Taylor is constantly questioning his own humanity all the time. And he's constantly going to other people and being like, hey, I did this thing, or I had this experience, you know, do you like this? How do you feel about this? He's actually asking for feedback from other people before offering feedback. ENFPs have this problem where they're offering feedback to literally everybody, but they will not ask anyone else for feedback. And that's the problem, okay? It's bullshit. Y'all are hypocrites when you do this. You little hypocritical bullshit soul temple where you actually think that you're human even though you're not. You actually have to prove your humanity first, ENFPs, by finding out whether or not even people like how you behaved to begin with, okay? Whether or not people even accept your behavior. Is your behavior acceptable, yes or no? That is the first question that you have to ask yourself to even begin the process of having social skills to begin with. Seriously, you have to do that. And if you're not going to do that, like what the hell are you people doing? Like what are you walking around thinking you're important? No one else values what you've done, because you've done the little INFJ bullshit with your INFJ shadow where you have majored in minor things. You know, maybe that's why you're not making any money. Maybe that's why you're not having any success in your life, because you fell into the classic INFJ trap of, you know, majoring in minor things and being dumb about it constantly, because you're not going to other people and asking people for feedback. Asking others for feedback, guess what? Do you know what that's going to do? You know what that's going to do? It's going to build connection with those people. Because those people feel like, oh shit, I'm a trusted confidant because this ENFP is coming to me and sharing their experience with me, and I get to tell them whether or not that was a good thing or a bad thing. I get to tell them whether or not that was right or wrong. I get to tell them whether or not this is something they should have invested in. Wow, bro, you invested all that time in a Call of Duty? Wow, bro, you invested all that time in various knowledge and in a lot of like drugs. Like, oh my God, ENFPs are so knowledgeable about psychedelics, are so knowledgeable about drugs and whatever. But honestly, it's a fucking waste. Why? Because it's not like they're going to make money on it. Oh, unless they become a drug dealer, which a lot of ENFPs are drug dealers. You know, they're making money on it, and it's like, okay, great, you just made a bunch of money on drugs, and then you can't even do anything real in your life for once. Like, how about being an actual entrepreneur? providing some actual real value that doesn't carry the risk of putting you into prison, thus putting your family at risk in the process. Oh wait, that's what my mentor did, and he learned the hard way because he got his feedback, from the federal penitentiary. That's where he got his feedback. Because you Soul Temple people need to realize there's always going to be blowback to every single action. If you feel justified and you make a decision, guess what? It creates justification in other people to put you behind bars or to take your children away from you. Other people, in certain cases with certain women, you depraved ENFP women who keep taking from men, those men are going to start feeling justified and entitled to your body. And, oh, Mr. C.S. Joseph, you're being really harsh about that. That sounds really fucking crazy. I'm like, no. I am speaking from actual life experience of ENFP women who do not know the fifth expression of the feminine, which is gratitude, okay? Because women have to figure out this thing. If a man offers you gifts of time, attention, and resources, okay? That includes buying you a drink at a bar. If you're not interested, and if you don't see a future with him, if you're not interested in reciprocating to this man ever, you have to reject him on the spot and do not allow him to give you any time, attention, resources, or drinks, or a hit of Coke, or whatever it is that you ENFP girls like taking from men or whatever. Because the more you take from them, the more justified they feel, right? And then the more you're building up negative feedback, negative karma towards you. Why do you think INFJ types and ENFP types, out of all the 16 types, care about karma the most? It's because you folks suck at it. That's why. Because all karma is cognitive origin of justification. That's all it is. That's all it is. Cognitive origin of cause. Why are you giving men cause to abuse you later? Because you keep taking from them without reciprocating. Okay? Reciprocating, like saying thank you. Reciprocating with a kiss. Reciprocating with your legs open to that man. But if you're not going to fucking reciprocate, what? Eventually those men, especially the men that happen to be attracted to ENFP women the most, they get into this taking mindset where they will take back what they've given. What do you think they're going to do to you? Okay? Especially since ENFP women often end up in some of the most seediest places in the world. The dumpy bars, around dumpy ass people. Like, it happens all the time. You Soul Temple types, like, it's so ridiculous how you types are always associated with the bottom of the barrel human beings, because you always make excuses for yourself. It's like, oh, I'm down on hard times, give me a second chance. And then all of a sudden you find yourselves around dangerous people. You're like, oh, you're on hard times, I'll give you a second chance. And you find yourself being abused by those low quality people because you easily surround yourselves with low quality people because your social skills suck, because you're not asking for feedback with your extroverted feeling critic, because the only way you're going to actually develop your FI parent is by asking for feedback. And then at that point, because you see what everyone else is valuing based on the things that you've done, and if you've done shit that no one values, oh my God, you should be one depressed motherfucker after that happens. You really should. And take some fucking responsibility in your life. Oh wait, that's what the parent function is for. Taking responsibility. Take responsibility for your actions. And that's how you do it, by asking for feedback. Because here's the thing. When you start asking for feedback from other people and asking for what other people are valuing based on the things that you've done, what happens is that you realize, oh, okay, I've done a good job over here. I should invest more in that area. And it actually allows you to develop your principles. Principles based on, I have evidence based on what other people value, not what they think, not what they believe, but I have evidence on what other people value, so that I know that I'm safe with my SI inferior to keep investing responsibly with my FI parent in this one direction, okay? That's literally how it works for you ENFPs. Otherwise, you bunch of walking corrupt motherfuckers who don't actually have any humanity whatsoever, because it's all about how you look to other people and you lack substance entirely. It's really annoying, okay? And as Fib just stated, FE critic development via orbit will strengthen your FI parent. FI parent will guide you to become and maintain subconscious focus, which is what you need to do from an octagram perspective. which is proof of you actually having social skills. Subconscious focus in an ENFP is proof that you have social skills as an ENFP. Unconscious focus ENFPs don't have that. They don't have proof of social skills. Instead, it's all about me, and what I can get away with. The thing is that you're going to start building up negative karma, aka negative feedback in other people. They will put you behind bars. They will harm you. They will take what you have taken. They will take back what you have taken from them. And you will have to answer to them in this life or the next. You will have to answer for it. You will be held to account. So I suggest that whenever you take an action, find out if other people value it ahead of time, so that way you know from an FI parent perspective that your investments are going in the right place. That is the number one key to having social skills as an ENFP. If you can't do that, you will never have the social skills. You will never be subconscious focused. You will never be able to move yourself forward as an ENFP in this life. You have to learn this. It is absolutely critical, right? Because it doesn't matter how many opportunities you see and try to like commit to all of them, and then you drag everyone else down with your SE demon in the process. It doesn't matter how hard you push yourself. It really absolutely doesn't. You guys have to learn how to say no to certain opportunities. And you learn how to do that by asking people, hey, would you make this decision? Is this a decision you would want to make? Is this a decision that you would value? What do you think about this decision? And collect data, collect feedback from other people before you make the choice. It's not hard. You just have to learn how to use your SI inferior to actually develop the habit to actually do this. Without that habit, you're going nowhere in your life. You'll have nothing. Like it's such bullshit. And your ENFP is like, and I just see it over and over and over again. Thinking that you can make a little extra money on the side, you know? It's just ridiculous. All right, we got a question. I love questions. All right. How to address an ENFP that doesn't see social cues and will sit there for hours talking, not realizing everyone is working or busy. Well, you go up to the ENFP and be like, who actually likes what you're saying right now? Who actually values what you're doing right now? Oh, that's right. Nobody values what you're doing right now. So because no one else values it, why do you feel it's valuable? Who made you God and made you that choice? See, right now you're not even being human because no one else values what you're doing. Okay? I thought you're supposed to be a person of character. I thought you're supposed to be like a human person. I thought you care about your identity. Apparently your identity is actually rooted in things that no one values or things that no one likes. Congratulations. Once again, you played yourself. Because that's what the bard type does. They love their little musical instruments or whatever, making a lot of noise that no one cares about. Making a lot of music no one wants to listen to. Wow. And that happens every time you fuckers always have to open your mouth. All the time. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you wasting your life doing this? Because not only are you wasting your life and your time, you're wasting everybody else's. How is it possible anyone else has a fucking future? Because you're in their life. You're literally sucking away their future. Like, wow. Because you're not asking people for their feedback because you're giving them shit opportunities, right? It's like, hey, I'm going to do this trade, bro. You know, like, I see you got that really nice McDonald's toy. You know, it's, oh, that's a really awesome McDonald's toy, but I'm going to give you an empty Pez dispenser in exchange for that awesome McDonald's toy. And, you know, it even doubles as a knife, man. See, it's kind of sharpish, you know, it kind of doubles as a knife, you know, like, so I'm sure you'd like this, you know, why don't you just give me that? Why don't you just give me that? Here, I'll give you this Pez dispenser. You know what? It's fine. I'll sweeten the deal with this pine cone right here. No one values that. No one values that trade. So when you're a little kid trying to work this deal in the schoolyard, you think you're actually going to get anywhere? No, you're not going to get anywhere because no one values that. You have to actually spend the time, do your research, find out what people value first, and invest in that direction. And that includes in any interaction you have with any human being. If you can't invest properly, if you can't invest in people, because here's another thing that really pisses me off about ENFPs. They suck at investing in the right people. They'll invest in lowlifes. That's what they do. They'll invest in low lifes. And you know, and then they'll try to extract favors from those low lives, and this creates an endless cycle that keeps themselves a low life. This is how their INFJ shadow actually gets them over and over and over again. And as much as I tell INFJs, get the losers out of your life, you ENFPs need to make sure that you aren't the loser in other people's life. That's literally what it comes down to. You got to stop yourself from being the fucking loser all the time. And you are a loser if you're majoring in minor things and spending your time and effort investing in the things that don't actually matter. That's the point. Why do you think INFJs are walking around depressed every day of their life? Because they know they're struggling with what they should actually be investing in order for them to be valuable to other people. You people have the opposite problem. You think that you guys are so arrogant that you think that you know what is valuable enough to invest in, when the reality of the situation is, especially in your youth, you actually don't know what is valuable to invest in because you haven't bothered collecting feedback from other people. It's egregious, it's bullshit, it's ridiculous. And I've had ENFP after ENFP in my life basically ruin my life over and over and over because they wouldn't bother asking for feedback. It's the most annoying thing in the world. It's like, why the hell do you people think that you can get away with this shit? You can't. But for some reason, you guys think you're so important that you actually can. And I'm just like, what the hell is your problem? Why do you think you can do this? You can't. You really can't. And so because of that, you're literally creating bad karma, negative feedback that is attached to your reputation, and you will pay that debt. Mark my words, ENFPs, you will pay that debt because of your lack of social skills. And then all of a sudden, those opportunities, the things that would actually turn you into a real VIP in life, those are going to be given to other people. Or the opportunities that you do get where there's a potential for you to become a true, actual, bona fide, real VIP for one time, you're going to be passed over for that promotion. It's going to be given to someone else. Why? Because you didn't bother collecting feedback. Do you know why? Because you guys are so sensitive and so moody all the time that you lead with that sensitivity. You lead with that moodiness in front of other people and then people don't want to hurt your feelings, right? Because they know that you can't take feedback. So because of that, they're not going to offer you, you're basically stunting your own growth, and they're not going to offer you those opportunities. They're not going to give you those promotions at all. And that too is a big deal. That too ends up becoming a serious problem. So make sure that that's not what's happening to you, folks. Like, seriously. ENFPs, you're better than this. You're way better than this. And you guys, like humanity has a future because you exist, right? But the only way, the opportunities you give other people as a result of you having the best life experience, because here's the thing, ENFPs, your life experience, your anecdotes, everything that you've experienced in your life should be so valuable that people would want to do it too. And then because of that, you're giving those people those opportunities, right? That'll never happen if you're not willing to expose your life experience to other people and tell people what you've done to find out what is valuable. And then you invest in that direction. But if you've been investing in things that are not valuable, guess what? You're going to give people shit opportunities. And no one's going to want to even be around you. No one's going to want to associate with you. No one's going to be there to catch you when you fall. No one's going to be there and listen to you. And then you're going to be surrounded by stupid people. And guess what happens when an ENFP is surrounded by stupid people? They stay stupid, basically. And it's entirely ridiculous. I don't want this for you guys. You need to learn this lesson. You need to move forward in your life. Develop your extroverted feeling critic and actually figure out what other people value and then bring that to them, right? Because that is how you gain justification. That is how you gain connection with other people. Bring to other people exactly what they value. And if you do that, I promise you a great life. I promise you that you will become the VIP that you already believe you are. You know, because you know how it is. Philosopher abuse, right? You guys take from other people because you just automatically believe for some fucking reason that you have intrinsic value already. When the reality situation is, you don't. Because you didn't bother asking for feedback. Stop that vicious cycle. Find out what is valuable. Adjust your life to that, to the value that other people hold and what other people like. And then as a result of that situation, you yourself will become successful, I promise. And as a result, amazing social skills. So, all right, folks, thanks for watching and listening. And I'll see you guys on the next episode next month. The Fundamentals of Social Skills for the ISTJ, Season 12, Part 2, Episode 9. See you then, folks. Later.